There has been a coup in Guinea, not a cake coup, a real military coup. Here's everything you need to know about the country and this particular coup. Some fast facts. The population in Guinea is 13 million. It is a member of the Economic Community of the West African States. It's located on the lower forehead, if you will, of Africa, next to Sierra Leone, Cote d'Ivoire, and Liberia. It is a producer of bauxite, diamonds, and it's a large producer of iron ore. The median age in Guinea is 19 years of age, and the dependency ratio is 85%. The population is 65% rural, and 47% of the population lives below the poverty line. Guinea is a poor nation, but it should not be a poor nation. In fact, it has fertile soil, ample rainfall, large mineral reserves, and it is the source of several West African rivers. The Senegal, the Niger, and the Gambia River all flow from Guinea. It's very fertile and it has high hydro potential. The country could be a net exporter of electricity for the region. It has tremendous agricultural potential, and as I've said, diamonds, iron ore, bauxite, quite large reserves of those. So why is Guinea poor if it shouldn't actually be poor? Quick answer: a bad mix of politics and the army. Here's a quick history of Guinea. It's a former French colony, and when the French lost control of Guinea, they actually sabotaged everything as they were leaving. Its Independence Day is on the 2nd of October 1958, making it almost 63 at the time of recording this video. And now there have been three stages of governance in Guinea, if you will. The first stage was dictatorship number one. The first president of Guinea was Ahmed Sékou Touré. Sékou Touré ran a party called the Democratic Party of Guinea, the PDG, and it won 56 of the 60 seats available in the first elections. Touré, ruled for 26 years, and 2 years into his leadership, he actually turned the country into a one-party state. He was in power until he died at the age of 62. After he died, we basically entered the second period of dictatorship. The prime minister at the time announced an interim president, and this was pending elections which were meant to be held within 45 days. Just a few days after Touré had died, there was a coup, and the PDG was not able to appoint its new leader, and the coup actually was led by a gentleman called Lansana Conte. He toppled the government and he became basically the dictator of Guinea following the first dictatorship of Sékou Touré. So Lansana Conte ruled from 1984 until 2008, when he died at the age of 74. So that's the second period. Then the third period now is the transition to democracy, if you will. In 2008, after Conte's death was announced, there was another coup, and this coup was led by Captain Moussa Camara, and it's called the Christmas coup because it occurred in December. Camara basically then ran the country for about a year, but he had a real challenge in that he had another guy who helped him in the coup, Sékou Touré, who was part of the military junta that orchestrated the coup. And Sékou Konante, wanted to be president of the junta and not Musa. He wanted to be. So what they had to do is they basically drew lots. And after drawing the lots twice, where both times Camara won, Konante accused Camara of cheating, and then he was actually given the position of vice president and made minister of defense. Shortly thereafter, in the next year, there was an assassination attempt, December of 2009. There was an assassination attempt on Moussa Camara's life, and he fled to Burkina Faso, and there had to be negotiations between Moussa Camara and Konante. And after those negotiations, there was then an election early in 2010. That election was won by Alpha Conde. Alpha Conde then enters into the discussions. He becomes the president of Guinea in the year 2010 at the age of 72. And he basically runs the country for 2 terms. There were concerns with corruption, economic development, all of the things that you would imagine would be concerns. But there was an issue because now in 2020, he made a change to the election. There was a referendum which was held in March of 2020, which was voted for by 92% of the population. The change in the constitution effectively allowed Alpha Conde to govern for 12 more years, because one of the terms of the constitutional amendment was that there would be a resetting of presidential term limit counts. So what Conde did, Alpha Conde, to get this constitutional amendment passed, basically, is he put a lot of positive things in the constitutional amendment. Here are some of them that were passed: changing the presidential term of office from 5 years to 6 years, and resetting the current term count for the purposes of term limits of the incumbent president. That's what he wanted. Then he also put in the constitution an amendment banning female genital mutilation, an amendment banning underage and forced marriages, an amendment giving spouses equal rights in a divorce, an amendment stating that no one gender should make up more than 2/3 of governing institution, an amendment requesting a fairer distribution of wealth for younger people and the poor, and an amendment which was lowering the parliamentary age of candidacy to 18 years of age. So those were the constitutional amendments which were passed in March of 2020. And there were complaints about those constitutional amendments because fundamentally the issue that was raised is that what this guy was doing was trying to actually get himself a new term limit count. And effectively, that's what happened. There were protests. Opposition accused the process of being rigged and that they got these outcomes through a rigging. So that's what kind of precipitated some of the challenges which brought us closer to where we are now. There was an election in October of 2021, which was won by Alpha Conde. The opposition accused him of rigging and of cheating. And then we got now to a position in 2021 where there was a coup this past Sunday. Now, a coup, by definition, is a sudden and violent overthrow of an existing government by a small group. The chief prerequisite for a coup is control of all or part of the armed forces, the police, and the military elements. Unlike a cake coup where people are looting and eating cakes, a coup often does have the involvement of the army. It does have a face, and we just need to be cognizant of what is a coup and what is, a cake looting insurrection, quote unquote. So a coup is often contrasted with a revolution, which is usually achieved by large numbers of people who are working for basic social and economic political change. A coup just changes the power structure at the helm, but doesn't necessarily create socio-economic reforms for the population. So Alpha Conde was removed through a coup on the 5th of September, which was a Sunday. There were pictures released to the internet showing the military surrounding him. He was sitting stressed, looking like Drake, who has been dumped. The army was around him. The leader of this coup is a gentleman known as Colonel Mamadi Doumbouya. Colonel Mamadi Doumbouya is the leader of the coup. He's a former officer in the French Foreign Legion, and he was the head of the special forces under Conde. His official title is Chairman of the National Committee of Reconciliation and Development. Now, since that coup, there have been some other developments. The junta, which is what a military coup entity is called, has consolidated the takeover with the installation of officers at the top of Guinea's 8 regions and various administrative districts. Mamadi Doumbouya promised on Twitter, things are changing now. The Taliban is listening to Drake and coup leaders are tweeting. So he promised a new era for governance and economic development. And on Monday, in an announcement, the military called for the Justice Ministry to do what it can to release political detainees as soon as possible. and by Tuesday, 20 political opponents of the former president Alpha Conde were released from detention. This coup has the support of the public. They have been dancing on the streets with the army, similar to what happened to Zimbabwe. Now, some food for thought is that coups can be good or they can lead to positive outcomes. There was a coup in Ghana by Flight Lieutenant Jerry Rawlings. He had grown discontented with the government of Acheampong, which had come to power through a coup itself in 1972. Acheampong was doing all kinds of chaos in Ghana, violence, political reprisals, suppression, and Rawlings, who was part of what was known as the Free Africa Movement, which was an underground movement of military officials which wanted to unify Africa through a series of coups, actually couped Acheampong, who had done a coup himself in 79, and this was 5 weeks prior to elections. Rawlings first failed in his first coup attempt, and he was actually arrested, and then he was freed by his fellow coup conspirators, and they actually did a coup, and that coup then led to a transition in government. After the coup, there was a period wherein there was a civilian rule, but in 1981, Flight Lieutenant Jerry Rawlings did a second coup and took over control of Ghana for a longer period of time, and then, did a lot of reforms. There were some concerns about human rights, but fundamentally, Ghana was able to move from the control of Flight Lieutenant Jerry Rawlings to a one-party state to a multi-party state. That was a coup with positive outcomes. A coup with negative outcomes is an example that you can consider is the coup that was held in Sudan in 1989 by Omar al-Bashir. Turns out that Omar al-Bashir was not committed to any transition to democracy. He was interested in power for his own sake and perpetrated massive atrocities in Sudan. And, right now he still faces a process at the International Criminal Court where he has been handed over by the people of Sudan to face consequences for his actions. So coups can be good or they can be bad. It's unclear what this particular coup will lead to. Now, ECOWAS is very tough on coups. They don't tolerate coups. They don't want coups. So they have said that they don't want to recognize this particular coup. The challenge that they face, of course, is that this coup has the popular support of the people. As much as the coup in Zimbabwe had the popular support of the people, at the time when it happened, the coup that brought in Emerson Mnangagwa. However, that coup also did not lead to positive economic outcomes for the people of Zimbabwe. So that's everything that you need to know about coups. I don't know what you think about this particular coup in Guinea, and whether or not you think this will be a turning point for the people of Guinea or will be a resetting in authoritarian rule for that particular country and prevent that country from being able to enjoy its vast mineral wealth, agricultural potential, and hydroelectric potential as a net producer. It has that potential to be a net producer within the territory. Thanks so much for watching. Look out for the next one. If you want to subscribe, feel free to subscribe. I'm trying to upload more regularly now. Hope you enjoyed it. Peace.